Hello and welcome to the Political Opinions podcast, where every opinion is given equal footing and political tolerance and debate are given their proper attention in a world where both are on the decline. Today's episode will cover different opinions on positive discrimination. Now, positive discrimination is the practice of selectively choosing members of a minority or disadvantaged group for a certain position or role. This is done in an attempt to increase the representation and diversity of people within an organisation. For example, a company may choose to hire only a female worker for a new managerial position and discount any men for the role. Now, positive discrimination is illegal in the UK because it breaches equality laws on the basis that, again, it doesn't treat everyone equally. There are those, however, who do advocate its use and believe positive discrimination should not be illegal and is a good thing. Today, we will unpick and compare these opinions. The first question to ask is, of course, is positive discrimination necessary? Well, surprisingly, those supporting positive discrimination believe the answer is yes. They argue that although everyone in the UK, for example, may experience legal equality, there are still inherent biases and hurdles to equality in society. Minority groups are statistically less likely to achieve high positions, with middle-class, white, privately educated males, that's a mouthful, being overrepresented. Because of this, some believe that positive discrimination is necessary to force change in a society which is not equal. Now, another reason for this necessity is that natural change is not enough for some people. Just like when society could not let the croc shoe die naturally, so too can we not allow an unequal society to change naturally. Natural change either does not occur or occurs too slowly, and positive discrimination is a necessary way to force said change. Before we move on, I would just like to say that crocs aren't that bad, I think, and a croc comeback is long overdue. Moving on to the ideas that positive discrimination promotes. Once again, it is not surprising that those advocating for positive discrimination believe it promotes good ideas. By creating positive change within society, some claim we actually improve social ideas. By having representation in all levels of society, we can show people that no matter who they are, they can achieve things. Despite many girls on TikTok, for some reason, wishing they lived in the 1950s, the reality of life was not so good. For example, only 3% of MPs in the 1950s were women. To young girls, if they never saw female MPs, it is highly likely that they would not believe they could become one. By forcing change, however, and putting people in these positions, we can show everyone that more can be achieved than they may necessarily believe. Now, these positive impacts keep on coming. Perhaps the most obvious one, but we also have more diversity within society. By forcing the installation of minority groups into different roles, we create a more diverse society where people of all colours, genders and so on can be seen in the same positions. Diversity is very rarely a bad thing, and as such, by improving levels of diversity, we make society better for everyone. Now, of course, an argument could be made that diversity at the cost of merit is not a positive thing, but a common rebuttal to this is that we don't even live in a meritocracy to begin with. Minority groups and women still lose out despite their merits. Like a small buzzing fly you can't find and yet won't piss off, hidden biases in society continue to plague our advance towards true meritocracy. This will all change, however, if we have positive discrimination. By forcing change and promoting diversity, we are on track to a society where everyone is more equal. From this, positive discrimination won't be needed anymore. The short-term forced change will lead to a different society which persists and which will be more equal and fair. Positive discrimination is therefore the perfect answer to all of our problems and will fix all the flaws in society forever. Or will it? While I cannot say in good faith that for wider society the death of crocs was anything but essential, the same cannot be said for positive discrimination, at least to some people. What I mean by this is that there is a belief held by some that positive discrimination is not necessary. We have legal equality in the UK, and discrimination on any grounds is illegal. Companies have to treat everyone based off merit or face the ever-dreaded lawsuit, and as such positive discrimination is not only not necessary, but may also do more harm than good. Before we get on to the cost of positive discrimination, however, let's quickly look at natural change. Natural change to some is deemed to be more preferable. Forced change is often unsustainable and dangerous to society, and could have unintended consequences. If we allow change to occur naturally, then said change is more stable. In this case, equality that occurs naturally will be more embedded into the conscience of society, and thus will actually be better than the results of forced change. The first reason that it is better is because it avoids negative ideas associated with positive discrimination. The process simply promotes the wrong ideas. For example, it reduces the value placed on individual achievement and effort. People may not work as hard in the knowledge that they will get promoted purely because of, for example, their race or religion. It creates expectations which are not reality. Speaking of reality, what is also not reality is the belief that diversity is always a good thing. We do not always need diversity. For example, different ethnic groups may have different tastes and aspirations. Certain cultures, for example, value academia far more than creative works. For some people, therefore, they may say that it isn't a bad thing that there are, say, less women in engineering, if it is the truth that women are not as interested in that career as men. An issue does of course arise when the women are discriminated against and not treated equally, but the fact that there are simply less of them is not inherently bad. This point extends further into the realm of merit. Diversity at the cost of ability is not a good thing. Positive discrimination has the impact of reducing meritocracy by choosing people for what they are, not how good they are. Promotions should always be based on ability and skill, and if we start to promote people for the wrong reasons beyond this, then there is a genuine risk that the standard of worker, politician, managers and so on may fall. Now, to some this is a very legitimate threat for the future. To them it is naive to believe that positive discrimination will only be a short-term project. Either it will fail or won't be done enough, and as such it will take many generations of forced change to have the desired effect, and the impact of this long-term change is to reduce the standards that we as a society hold ourselves to, which will be detrimental to everyone's futures. If we take a second then to look at how these points compare. On the point of necessity, we have two competing ideas. One group believes that positive discrimination is necessary because despite there being legal equality, society is not equal and therefore we need to force change. Those disagreeing, however, would say that legal equality means discrimination cannot occur and that therefore positive discrimination is not essential. And this links into this point on natural change. Again, those opposing it believe that forced change will always be dangerous to society, and we should promote more stable natural change. However, those disagreeing would say that change will not occur naturally, or will occur far too slowly, and as such, forced change is what is needed. How does this change impact ideas then? Well, for those advocating positive discrimination, they would say that we see positive ideals and positive change. People begin to realise what they can achieve, and we change social ideas for the better. However, those disagreeing would say that positive discrimination promotes the wrong ideas. It reduces the importance and value of individual achievement and effort, and leads to ideas that are not real. On this point of diversity, those supporting positive discrimination believe diversity to be a good thing. We force change, we improve representation in all areas of life. We increase the ability for people from different races, religions, genders and so on to enter different areas of life, and that is always to them a good thing. However, those disagreeing would say that diversity is not always the best goal or outcome for some scenarios. Different groups have different tastes. Then on the question of merit, those supporting positive discrimination believe that we don't live in a meritocracy to begin with. Minority groups, women and other disadvantaged peoples still lose out despite their merit. However, those disagreeing would say that positive discrimination reduces the idea of meritocracy, which to them does exist, and this as a problem could lead to token appointments rather than deserved ones. And then finally, how does this all play out for the future? Those supporting positive discrimination argue that it is a short-term plan with long-term benefits. Change is forced, after which it will persist naturally, and this again, for reasons prior, are good. However, those disagreeing would say that the level of skills in jobs, sports and so on will be reduced with long-term action. And if we stop judging people based off merit, then we lower standards as a whole. Overall then, those who support the use of positive discrimination do so because they believe that change will not occur naturally, and as such must be forced. It is a short-term project with long-term positive impact. Those who oppose it, however, argue that it is both not necessary and comes at the cost of meritocracy. In our pursuit of equality, we create a world which is not equal, and diversity is not the be-all and end-all. Now, this point of diversity raises some interesting questions, mainly how far should we go to promote diversity, and is it always a good thing? Should we have diversity just for the sake of it, or should it exist in a way that has tangible and real-world results? As always, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments or on Twitter. Be sure to check back on Monday for another episode. Thank you all for listening, and I hope to see you soon.